forest produces much more than just trees. It's home to many species of fish, mammals, and birds. It affects water supplies for domestic use and agriculture, supports forage for livestock and wild ungulates, and provides a place for people to relax and enjoy nature. In choosing silvicultural practices, resource managers must consider the whole forest ecosystem, its components, and how they interact. We all agree, silvicultural activities must be planned and integrated with other forest uses. The question is, how? This question is becoming more important as we increase silvicultural activities throughout the province. The philosophy of integrated resource management is firmly entrenched in the laws of BC. The Ministry of Forests Act states that the Forest Service must consult and cooperate with resource managers before making any decisions affecting forests. By policy, the Forest Service provides all interested groups, government, industry, professional or public, with the opportunity to be involved in this decision-making. The Forest Service has entered into agreements with other agencies to review programs and discuss projects that require more intensive planning.
As a result of the Canada-BC Forest Resource Development Agreement, thousands of hectares of land in the Vancouver Forest region are being improved. We recognize that silviculture activities, such as site preparation for planting, manual or chemical brushing, juvenile spacing, and fertilization, affect the forest habitat. We work with fisheries and wildlife managers to plan our projects. When we plan and treat a silviculture project properly, we can benefit a wide range of forest users.
Resource managers must set objectives for various forest resources. That is, they must state what they want to achieve from each resource in a particular area. Resource managers from various agencies and resource users discuss their objectives and develop plans to meet them. They must be prepared to find solutions that both groups are satisfied with. Although silviculture planning occurs at many decision-making levels, this video focuses on the operational level. Here, the decisions must be consistent with the policies and programs established for the TSA, TFL, or region as a whole. There are 4 basic steps in integrated resource management. Identify the problems, collate the information, analyze it, and develop and implement a plan. The complexity of these steps will vary with the particular project, but the process will remain the same. Resource managers must decide what needs to be done, what is to be achieved, what alternatives should be considered, what resources will be affected, what information is needed. There are 2 types of information: inventory, the state of the resources, and research, predictions of outcomes from specific management strategies. To predict the outcomes of silvicultural practices, resource managers ensure both types of information are available. They discuss and assess alternative operational methods, their timing and distribution. They predict the outcomes and estimate the costs and effectiveness of each alternative for reaching management objectives. Once the appropriate method or combination has been selected, resource managers develop a plan. The steps are simple, but they work. Knowing the steps is one thing. Carrying them out is something else. The key lies in the willingness of everyone to cooperate and to accept trade-offs. When resource managers and public groups work together, they come to understand each other's point of view and develop better communications and working relationships. This is particularly the case in the area of intensive forest management.
In forest management, we have found that we have to be site-specific and evaluate each location independently.
If we're going to prescribe an effective treatment, we need to understand the impact that it will likely have on other uses. We can begin by asking a simple question. Is the treatment being considered compatible with other uses?
Here in the Jordan River, just north of Revelstoke, we had a number of important resources to consider. The watershed gets a lot of recreational use and is important for both fish and mammals, especially moose and grizzly bear. It was logged in the 1960s, but it was never planted. Today it is mainly NSR.
In 1988, the Forest Service staff started to develop a vegetation management plan for this watershed. They hired a consultant to map the vegetation in the watershed, assess all of the sites, and set priorities for areas needing treatment. The Forest Service contacted the fish and wildlife managers to discuss the silvicultural problems.
Sure, because we'd like to see maybe these 10-meter pesticide-free zones extended a little bit to incorporate that riparian wetland habitat next to
They worked out a plan that was beneficial to both agencies. They cooperated in defining problem spots, such as the wetter areas.
Fish and Wildlife didn't get everything that they wanted, but neither did we. But we both agree that it's beneficial to both agencies.
The Nicola Valley has long been used by both ranchers and loggers. Logged areas, whether seeded to domestic grasses or not, are preferred areas for cattle, who can damage seedlings by trampling, browsing, or bedding down on them. Through cooperation among resource users and managers, cattle and trees can coexist.
One of the ways to reduce the conflict between silviculture and cattle is fencing to control cattle movements. Here, in this example, we have a fence that was constructed cooperatively between the timber company, the Forest Service, and the rancher. In this example, the timber company cleared the right-of-way, the Forest Service supplied the materials, and the rancher constructed the fence.
Even though there is cooperation, many foresters blame the damage to plantations on inadequate cattle management.
The period of potential conflict between cattle and the establishment of a new forest is relatively short. This plantation has reached such a size and vigor that the cattle can graze here without any special constraints.
The question in the Sayward was, could we improve the timber quality of young stands and at the same time improve forage production for elk? The Forest Service wanted to determine a spacing density that would satisfy both timber and elk needs. As well, the density had to complement the public use and enjoyment of the area without creating an unacceptably high fire hazard.
I'm standing in a commercial thinning project in the Sayward Forest. Douglas fir stands like this were originally thought to have limited capacity for forage production. The trial that we've established here is attempting to show what forage production improvements there can be by modifying the stocking levels.
Here at Eve River, we've established a series of trials in second growth hemlock to better understand the relationships between the production of forage for ungulates such as deer and the various stand tending options that we have available. This project was put together in cooperation with wildlife biologists, silviculturalists, and biometricians in McMillan-Bladel, the Forest Service, and the Fish and Wildlife Branch. What we hope to gain from this project is an understanding of meeting the needs of the wildlife, the objectives of the Fish and Wildlife Branch, still in a way that is compatible with the objectives and the needs of the timber part of the resource.
In the Nimkish area, the question was how to create overwintering ranges for deer in young stands. If we could substitute second growth areas for old growth areas as winter range, we could then schedule some old growth areas for eventual harvesting.
As a result of analyzing and preparing the IWIFR data, we designed and implemented spacing trials here in the Steel Creek area to provide both forage and cover for deer. We decreased the density of the trees, pruned the lower trunks, and in some areas we've spread lichen on the branches. Our objective is to enhance both forage production and develop the crowns to intercept snow while keeping a good number of trees for a good forest crop. We're carefully monitoring the results to determine if the results we get are the same as what we have predicted.
In coastal areas, the question was how to integrate fisheries and forestry management. The Coastal Fisheries Forestry Guidelines were developed by numerous field experts to manage forestry activities near streams and rivers. The guidelines specify how to classify stream reaches and outline prescriptions for each stream reach class.
The Artlish is a prime example of a river with multiple uses of fisheries, logging, and recreation.
In response to the guidelines, we've established several streamside management zones along the Artlish River. These zones vary in widths up to a maximum of about 30 meters from the river, stream, or wetland shoreline. The zones provide stream bank protection and shade. They also serve as a source of food for overwintering fish.
I also understand there's some recreational potential up here as far as karst caving.
Right, it's the karst area is on this fork of the upper Artlish up in here. Very interesting and unique cave feature in that the Artlish River itself runs underground for, let's see, at 1 to 20,000 here, about a kilometer actually. It's a remarkable site. There's another cave system, the Black Hole Cave, located just off to the southern part of the Artlish River. It's actually the Black Hole Cave is where the Artlish River used to run. It's one of the old river channels. Remarkable features in here.
Right, you're going to really want to try and protect that area as well, for the recreation potential.
A number of things to preserve here. Of course, the first and foremost is the actual cave itself, to make sure that we don't change the water flows, that any upland harvesting isn't going to have any direct impact on the cave itself.
These examples show that integrated resource management is not easy. It involves time, money, and hard work. But today's effort will eliminate tomorrow's problems. The planning steps will guide the resource managers in reaching their decisions. An essential ingredient is teamwork. A team must be willing to discuss alternate ideas, be flexible in assessing new ideas, and develop innovative solutions. If the team follows the process, pulls together, and uses the best information available, it will have done its job properly. Through these efforts, we can develop plans that maintain the environment and improve the productivity of the forest for all users.